Soundbite. What I'm about to say may surprise you, but it is very possible to get burnt out even doing the things you love to do.
Very interesting take.
Mm.
That's why with me, burnout is synonymous with book that flight and get the fuck out of here.
How is that
and be
synonymous?
On a beach.
How is that synonymous?
In a bikini. You see the bees? The bees keep rolling, baby. Burnout on a beach.
I'll let you have it.
1, 2, 3.
It all started with real talk, unfiltered, honest, and straight from the heart. Since then, we've gone on to become Webby Award-winning podcasters and New York Times best-selling authors.
Deadass was more than a podcast for us. It was about our growth. A place where we could be vulnerable, be raw.
Pause. But most importantly, be us.
But as we know, life keeps evolving, and so do we. And through it all, one thing has never changed.
This is Ellis Ever After. Deadass.
Because we got a lot to talk about. Story time.
Story time. So I'm going to tell y'all about a burnout opportunity. Well, not burnout. That's not even an opportunity. A burned out time in my life where I didn't even know I was getting burned out till I was burnt out. Y'all know I'm an athlete. I love sports. I love basketball. I like football. I don't love football. I like football. But I did love to play it when I was playing. And going into my 4th season in the NFL, I had just signed with the Browns. And they had fired Romeo Crennel. They brought in Eric Mangini. And I was going to practice every day, doing what I had to do, doing my lifts and stuff like that. And then they started bringing in some other rookies and some other people. And before I knew it, I realized like I just didn't want to be here no more. Like before, like it was happening before my eyes, but I didn't realize it. And I started to realize it when, you know me, in 10 years of football that you've been a part of, have I ever been late to a meeting?
Not one.
Have I ever been late to workouts?
Not ever.
Have I ever missed?
In life, not one.
So I remember going OTAs Monday, walking into meetings, I'm 3 minutes late. Coach is like, Deval, you late. I was like, my fault, coach. Tuesday, come in there, fall asleep. Like, Deval, if you sleeping, you might want to just step out. And I got up and just walked out. And it was in that moment that I realized, like, yo, I'm fucking burnt out. Like, I'm over this.
Don't want to do it no more.
I didn't want to do it no more. And when they called me right before we went back to camp and they were like, hey, Deval, we're going to let you go. We're going to sign some draft picks. I just said, okay, and hung up the phone. Like I didn't need a dissertation. And in that moment, now that I look back on it, I realized that I was burnt out. Like I went from being a walk-on in college, having to always prove myself every day.
Yeah.
Then a free agent in the NFL, having to prove myself every day. Even though I was doing something I love, I was fucking over it.
And you were tired of having to prove yourself.
Yes.
I get it. I was surprised when that happened, but here we are.
Shit happens. Now, for karaoke, I'm going to let Kay sing the song because I don't know the words. I'm just being honest, y'all. I have no idea.
You do know the words.
I know the first, the 6 words.
When you feel it in your
body.
When you feel it in your
body, you got somebody who
make you change your ways like hanging with your crew. When you act like you're ready, but you don't really know. And everything in the past, you want to let it go. I've been there, done it,
walked around.
After all that, this is what I found. Nobody wants to be alone. If you're touched by the words in the song, then baby, you got it.
That's the wrong song. We asked Tribble, this is your fault.
Wait.
That's the wrong song. That's not Let It Burn.
Song.
That's You Got It Bad. Well, you know who got it bad? We got it bad. Because we fucked that song up. My bad, Usher. My bad, Usher.
Yo, how did we get there?
And we got all the way there. It's supposed to be Let It Burn.
It was supposed to be
out.
Let It Burn. Oh, shoot. No, that's You Got It Bad. No. Somebody. Now we have to. How does Let It Burn start? Why are we all drawing a blank right now? It's because we're over
that's
here.
Still You Got It Bad.
Is it?
That's
Let It Burn is Let It Burn. Let it burn. Deep down,
you know it's best for yourself, but you in the thought of a thing with someone else, cause you know that it's over. Let it burn. I mean, I guess that does apply. That's why we wanted to sing that song.
Let it burn. There you go, man. Let it burn. We got to it. We got to it. All right, it took a turn. It was the wrong way.
That's the first time that's happened in karaoke, that we sang the entire first verse into the wrong ass chorus.
We had a little harmony too.
You know what it was too? We were over here just, our mind was blown because the video went out recently of Usher saying, who's in the streets, not cruising the streets. We all know, or thought we knew, that it was 7:00 on the dot. He's in his drop top.
Cruising the streets.
He said, who's in the streets, baby?
Oh, yeah. I got a real pretty little thing sitting next to me.
I mean.
I pull up.
Now it's a whole Usher concert.
Devusher's here in the building. What do you expect with this Devusher?
True. Even more reason why we should have known what the damn song was. That's hilarious that happened. All right. Well, clearly we need to take a break. We need to reconvene, get our shit together, and then we'll be back to talk more about navigating burnout. Stick around, y'all.
And we're back.
And we're back, guys.
My favorite part of the show.
Yeah. Well, do you want to touch base on story time real quick, or we'll get into that in the meat of the show? Let's do opera no op. Yeah.
Let's do opera no op. Yeah.
Perfect. Tribble, it's your time to shine.
All right, y'all. Since we're talking about work today,
I
figured I would talk about an actor since we got two actors amongst us. I'm talking about me and the voices in my head.
Got him.
Thank you so much.
Of course you were. What do you mean? Yeah.
Will Smith, though, he has an album coming out. He's a rapper again, which is insane.
Don't put him in a box. He started that way. Don't put him in a box.
I guess if you slap somebody on live TV, you gotta come out with a rap.
You gotta start rapping.
I mean,
hope he got a diss track. I hope he got a diss track on it.
That'd be hilarious.
Spiritual rapping, though, no?
He is spiritual rap. He's in a different place. He's not the same person anymore.
Okay.
Gangster rap, somebody slap you. I'm sorry.
You want Will Smith to come out with a gangster album, bro? That's not gonna happen.
But so
I would buy it though.
Facts.
He's been on a promo tour promoting his album, his upcoming album, and he went on a streamer's platform recently. And this specific streamer asked him to name his Mount Rushmore of actors.
Ooh.
Top 4 actors of all time. And the first actor he named was himself, of course. He said he got to put himself on there. But the other 3 he named were Denzel Washington.
I get that.
Daniel Day-Lewis.
I get that.
And Marlon Brando.
I'm not a...
I can see why he said it, though. I can understand.
He's older.
People revere the Godfather, so I can understand why he said it.
I get it.
I have no op.
But that's his list.
That's his list, yeah.
I have no op.
Well, who's on your Mount Rushmore, babe?
Who's on my Mount Rushmore? Wow. If I start with commercial success and also won an Oscar, I would have to start with Will Smith. Like, he's box office Willie. Nobody else has done in the movie space what he's done. If I'm talking about art films and range and the ability to play a bunch of different characters and just be great, like, I'm going to go with Denzel Washington. My favorite actor of all time, as everybody knows, is Wesley Snipes. He pretty much created the Marvel Universe. He's played everything from Tu Wong Fu to, what's the other one? White Men Can't Jump, played Blade, like New Jack City. There's no role that he hasn't played. He's played a baseball player in major leagues. Like, Wesley Snipes has done everything. And if I have to go with one more, we talking about range and we talking about commercial success and the ability to do everything. It would be a toss-up between Samuel L. and Lawrence Fishburne.
Okay.
And I'm gonna be honest, I like to keep it black, but Daniel Day-Lewis, Tom Hanks, Leonardo DiCaprio, like, if I'm being honest and not keeping it black, you can't have a Mount Rushmore without Leonardo DiCaprio, Daniel Day-Lewis, and Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks is the only actor ever to win 2 Oscars back-to-back as a leading male. So those would be, like, putting it in around Mount Rushmore, just those 4, I can't do it. And the reason why I stay black, I go with black first, is because Hollywood wasn't created for black people. So for those black men to have that success with the amount of roles that's not written for us, I always give them the nod.
Right.
But that's not taken away from the talent of our white counterparts. Like,
for that exact reason is why I have Sidney Poitier in my top 5. Sidney Poitier broke the barrier for a lot of the people to do anything that they're doing.
You know what?
He set the bar.
You know what? I can't even. See, now we say that Sidney Poitier. What about Morgan Freeman?
True.
Oh,
The list goes on.
So it's interesting you're naming these people. So there's a documentary coming out later this month called Number One on the Call Sheet.
Yeah.
That's going to talk about the success of a lot of these Black actors, which I'm excited to watch.
I am
Same.
too.
I'm
Yeah,
excited
I'm
to
gonna
see it
watch.
too.
I
Yeah,
am
that's
too.
coming
The hell
out.
out of that.
I am
Cool.
too.
Next, I guess we can talk about politics a little bit.
Okay.
So recently, Trump, the president, our president.
That's not my president. That is
The
not my
people that
president,
president.
The people, them, yeah, president,
Mm.
signed an executive order to dismantle the Department of Education, which is insane. The Department of Education, they control funding for education and higher education, grants, funding for services for children with disabilities.
Right.
So a lot of people think this is going to put people who are already at risk further behind, like low-income families and special education students.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to widen educational disparities.
Of course.
So the Trump's idea behind this is to give power back to the states.
I'm not opposed to
I think something that we understand about the Civil War is that apparently it was about states' rights. So here we are back.
I'm glad you brought that
Mhm.
up. I'm so glad you brought up the Civil War. Because if people understand where the Department of Education came from, they would
Mhm.
understand why this is never for us as Black people.
Anyway.
Right? After the Civil War, the UDC was created. The UDC is the United Daughters of the Confederacy, led by a woman named Mildred Rutherford. And Mildred Rutherford's whole purpose of the United Daughters of the Confederacy was to uphold the lost cause indoctrination. The lost cause indoctrination was the indoctrination that the Confederacy was here to save America. So what they did was they changed all of the textbooks that we see federally to become whitewashed. That's why there's no Black history in the textbooks. So for me, the dismantling of the Department of Education for the federal level takes away the power of the federal level to tell all of our kids what they're going to learn in schools.
Mhm.
Now, him giving it to the local leaders like states allows the governors and the mayors to decide how they're going to educate and the funding they're going to use for their constituents.
Which I think makes it a little bit more tangible for people in their respective states. Because
Yes.
if you're in those local elections and
Yes.
you're, lobbying for the
Yes.
things that you want, then there's probably a greater chance of you getting those things.
Now,
if
the problem
you're
is
doing that.
if you cut the Board of Education, the federal funding that comes down to these states get cut as well. And a lot of that federal funding was to help people who look like us.
Mhm.
So I'm kind of torn. I'm torn because our people need the funding, especially since we pay taxes. We need that funding to educate our kids. But I'm torn because the education they teach our kids is not the real education. I'll give you a perfect example. Jackson, just last month, had to do a story or had to do a report on Western expansion. And all of the stuff they talked about in Western expansion never talked about the black cowboys and the
Mhm.
Black sheriffs and the people who actually built this country, the Asians that came over here. All of the stories was about what the US government did to help grow America. And I was like, this is not real history.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I said, Jack, you ever heard about black codes? He was like, no, only from you.
Yeah.
And that leads me to my point. I don't care what they do with the Department of Education because I'm going to always educate my kids. Period. Like whatever funding they pull, I'm going to make sure that my kids understand who they are and where they stand when it comes to history. So my opinion on the Department of Education is let the federal government do what they got to do. I'm going to make sure my kids know.
Mhm.
Period.
I love that.
Op or no op from the rest of the crew?
I got no op because I'm not going to say anything as eloquent. So
No, but people know
Deval
like that's
he
what
knows
I.
the history. Yeah.
That's what
Exactly.
I wrote that book. I wrote the book, The Ellises in a Time Machine. Like when
Yeah.
I learned about Mildred Rutherford, shit had my skin crawl. Like, so y'all actually had a woman go into the textbooks and say, we're not going to say this, we're going to say this just to uphold. And for people who don't know what the lost cause indoctrination is, go back and watch Birth of a Nation, the very first Birth of a Nation, which was the first movie that played in the White House, right, during Reconstruction. And the movie was of white men in blackface
Mhm.
terrorizing the people of America. And the Ku Klux Klan came to save Americans because during Reconstruction, the story they told of the lost cause was that they finally allowed slaves and people of color to be a part of the government. And they ran the government rampant, and they needed the KKK to come save the people of America from the black men that were raping and stealing. That's the lost cause indoctrination. the fact that the Confederacy was about states' rights and it wasn't about slavery. So what they're continuously doing is trying to indoctrinate generations that the Confederacy was here to save America.
Right.
Not that they were pretty much treasonous people who tried to separate from the Union and lost. The biggest thing is that the Confederacy lost the war, the Civil War, and they never wanted to talk about them losing the war.
Right.
So I think it's important for people to understand where the Department of Education sits when
Falls
it comes to history
within
and
that.
our people, not just about funds. Because they will give our people funds and then have someone educate them incorrectly. So that's just my opinion on it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But
I mean, we've never relied on the textbooks.
ever. All of our
Anyhow.
kids have tutors and mentors. Like even when we didn't have money, Kadeen and Deval was in that book with Jackson. Like that's how I learned about so much of this stuff.
Same. You gotta pick up this book and read it.
My mom.
Yeah,
New York
Deval.
Times,
I was
read
about
it.
to say, Deval's mom was just here visiting with the boys, and I had gotten these little flashcards that are just like Black history flashcards and stuff like that. And her eyes lit up. She was like, "Yeah, I want to go over some of these with the kids because your mom lived through."
My mom lived through the end of segregation.
The end of segregation.
The end of segregation. She was in Brooklyn, and they had finally ended segregation in the late 60s, early 70s. And she was one of the first group of Black kids to go to school in Marine
Integrated,
Park.
yep.
And they were chased out of those schools every single day. So my mom doesn't play when it comes to education. That's why I am the way I am. And that's also why I'm so pro-Black.
And history, yeah.
Because that history lives in me. Like this to me isn't just opinions. These are facts that my mom made sure I knew. So Department of Education, I never rely on that. My mom used to sit in all of the meetings and talk about funding. How come none of this funding is going towards arts or going towards this? My mom used to sit in the meetings and be like, this ain't right. And I realized like the federal government doesn't have the amount of power people think they have when it comes to educating our people and our kids. So parents, if you're listening, handle that yourself. Don't even leave that up to them.
And just imagine parents who have to work, single parents who have multiple children who don't have the time to do this. Plus, this was an alarming stat that I read the other day. 56% of American adults have a reading level below 6th grade. So a lot of parents
Is that shocking to you, really, Tribble?
No, it's not shocking, but I'm just saying a lot of parents don't even have, you know, the intelligence to teach their children. And that's what we're going to have.
Right.
So we have to really rely on community in this time
Yeah.
to try to make sure that our kids don't get left behind.
That's a problem of what you just said. And it doesn't surprise me. 56% because most people don't value school or education.
In our parents' generation, a lot of times they couldn't. They had to make other choices.
That is true. When I think about my grandmother couldn't go to high school. She had to take care of her siblings because there were 6 of them and she was the oldest. So that is a very valid point.
Yeah.
And back on the subject of burnout, I saw a TikTok recently, a woman named Dr. Claire Ashley talking about burnout. And she said that it takes on average 1 to 3 years to recover from burnout. But she said there's 5 stages of burnout that can help you identify burnout quicker, so that you can recover quicker, just in case. So are you interested in hearing?
I would love to hear it. It's the perfect segue.
All right. Well, all right. Stage 1 is the honeymoon phase, she said. This is when you start a new job. You're really excited. And so because you're so excited, you might take on more work than you actually can handle. And
trying to prove yourself.
Yeah, trying to prove yourself. Excited about the work, excited to do the thing. Yeah. And then that will lead you into phase 2, which is the onset of stress. This is when you start to notice that things becoming more stressful. You start to have more stressful days than non-stressful days. And you start to notice that you might be getting frustrated. You might be feeling a little bit overwhelmed. And that can lead to chronic stress. If you don't do anything about it at that point, it will lead to the 3rd phase, which is chronic stress. And when you're chronically stressed, it affects your ability to concentrate. You're less productive and you feel more overwhelmed. Yeah. And then that leads to the 4th stage, which is actual burnout, where this is where the apathy really kicks in. You're feeling detached from your friends, detached from your family, detached from your emotions. Yeah. Detached from the work. And you're feeling a level of exhaustion that goes along with it. And then that leads to the 5th stage of burnout, which is habitual burnout, which is a loss of joy in basically anything.
Retired from the NFL.
You might, yeah.
R.I.P.
Yeah, when you lose that joy,
you just described everything I went through.
Yeah, it can lead to unhealthy habits, seeking out
Drinking,
dopamine,
taking pain meds to be numb so that you don't have to feel what's happening. Did that not describe everything that I went through?
So I see a correlation between burnout and having kids, honey.
Absolutely.
Labor, delivery, postpartum.
Absolutely.
The whole shit is linked together.
Labor, you got labor, delivery.
Well, pregnancy.
Pregnancy first, 10 months. Then you got labor, delivery. Then you have after the birth,
postpartum.
once you come postpartum. But sleep deprivation on top of all of that.
All the things.
That's a lot. Burnout's a lot.
Yeah. Literally just want to be like by my, well, what is it? How does it manifest itself in you? Because for you with burnout, I know that there's a detachment that happens that you just kind of let go, or coping mechanisms to deal with burnout. For me, I know when I'm burnt out, I just want to shut everything down. Like I don't want to be around people. I want to be by myself.
Yeah.
I don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
I want to find the ways that I can find joy. Sometimes that's not leaving my bed. Sometimes that's continuously, watching a good show, spending time with just my kids and my husband. Like those are the things for me, I know I can find a little bit of like recovery from.
For me, I have to be purposeful about taking time for myself. Like what I've started to do now, I don't wake up my days anymore prepared to handle the day. I don't wake up like I used to wake up, phone, check my accounts.
That's a good point.
How much money came in, how much money came in, what came out, let me call my advisor, let me find out what it is.
Yeah.
Then after that, I check my Instagram, my YouTube, my this, make sure that all my analytics is working right. Then it's like the minute I woke up, I used to wake up, that's what it was.
So it's like you woke up in almost inviting burnout.
Burnout,
Jumping straight into business.
Yeah, which I found to be terrible for me. Like I was gaining weight. My eyes used to be super dark all the time. My hair was crazy, crazy thin. You know what I'm saying? Like my body, even my body fat percentage. Matt was like, yo, I looked at video of you last year and didn't realize that you were a lot bigger. Like I could see it in your face.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that in order to navigate burnout, you can't let burnout happen, right? The first thing of navigating is don't get burnt out.
Mm-hmm.
So I wake up in the morning. The very first thing I do when I wake up is I go to the bathroom, brush my teeth, go to my fridge, take my ginger shot, and drink my warm tea with my probiotic, and I just sit for a minute. I sit. I meditate. I think about what it is I want to do in life. Then I go work out. Spend my hour and a half focusing on myself and my body. At that point, I've rested my gut, because gut health is important.
Mm-hmm.
I've stretched. I've meditated. I've made sure everything that was important to myself first was taken care of. Then I check my account. Then I check my Instagram. So for me, navigating burnout was to make sure Deval was okay first.
Mm-hmm.
And I never used to do that.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah. For me with burnout, I realized that it was happening when we, essentially were chasing all of the things that we felt like we needed to chase in order to be successful within this career field, right?
Mm-hmm.
So knowing the entertainment industry, the film and television industry, now the social media industry, which has become pretty much our livelihoods. For me, it was just like, how can I chase every bag, exist in every opportunity? Because you never know at one point this will be gone. Like we were saying in another episode, 10 years ago, social media and becoming a content creator wasn't a thing. So I almost felt like for a long time, like at any point, this may not be a thing anymore. So let me try to maximize and capitalize on the opportunity now while I can, because taking this opportunity may lead to that next big break.
Mm-hmm.
And last year specifically, I realized I almost felt like we were hustling backwards in a sense, because I'm like, if I'm taking this gig and it's not going to move the needle for me in a way that's successful for, or could potentially be successful for my career or from a professional standpoint, then it's like, am I just going to every event just to be seen? Sitting on every panel just to say you're on a panel, to be posting that you're out doing something? Or is this something that's really going to bring fulfillment, actually potentially bring me future opportunities? Is it going to take me out of my home for an extended period of time that I don't need to be away from home? Those were the things that I had to start processing and kind of asking myself to prevent eventually being burnt out.
So your first thing to navigate burnout was to be like, I'm no longer doing the things that just don't serve me directly. Like not just doing stuff to do it. Eliminating busy work.
Eliminating busy work.
Because that's the biggest thing. A lot of people do busy work. Like if I'm sitting still, then I'm not doing anything. I'm not getting better.
Exactly.
So
that was
let me
how I was
eliminate
feeling
busy work.
about it.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was the first thing. Also, reinvesting time into myself and my health. So we both kind of got onto that bandwagon where we're like, you know what? Nothing is going to work if he and I aren't healthy. So we've been super supportive in both of our journeys to really make sure that from a health standpoint, we're investing in ourselves. We're eating better. We're getting the sleep. Like team no sleep, that's no longer a thing for me.
Yeah, that's not.
Like
that's not
I'm
a
gonna
thing
need
for
my
us no
sleep.
more.
I'm gonna need my 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Even when I was filming and stuff like that, I'm like, I had to prioritize. I'm like, am I gonna work out? Am I gonna study? What am I gonna do in this, short amount of time that I have to recover for the next day? And I was like, you know what? I'm going to sleep.
But I do think team no sleep is part of the reason why burnout is so big in this generation. You know what I'm saying? Like it became a badge of honor.
Yeah.
And it used to be for me when I used to be like, man, I work 18 hours
Yeah.
and I didn't sleep. It wasn't until I realized how much sleep was important for my recovery, not just physically, but mentally. Like when you don't sleep and you can't function because your cognitive dissonance is like all over the place. Like I can't even separate myself from stuff I want to because I can't even realize what's happening. That's a reality. And what happens is when you don't sleep, you start to do busy work because you really can't decide what's important because your mind is all over the place. So you do everything.
Yeah.
And then before you know it, you're doing everything, but also doing nothing.
Right. And you're not showing up 100% anywhere. Everything is just kind of scattered. So for me, that was some of the biggest things that I had to navigate when I realized like burnout was definitely coming on. I realized too that you can be burnt out in so many different ways. Like there's physical burnout, there's emotional burnout, there's a spiritual burnout, there's, mental burnout. And I say all the time, I feel like even just as a mom and a wife and a businesswoman, like there's so many tabs open in my brain that I had to realize sometimes asking for help and delegating responsibilities, things like that helped me navigate when I felt like, you know what, I just can't do this anymore. And it's sad when it hits you when you realize like, damn, like the love for the things that I want to do, I can't even do them because I don't have the energy to do it. When I realized it was affecting the time with the kids, for example, it's like, I'd rather just lay in bed and have some me time versus like wanting to chill with the kids. Like that was a problem for me.
So burnout was affecting your family and what you wanted to do at home. I have a question for Trouble. Trouble, I know there are some facts and stats about burnout, right? Let me hear some of those.
Yeah. So it's not a medical condition, but the World Health Organization does recognize that it can cause people to feel physically and emotionally drained or be exhausted, or they may also feel cynical.
But it's not a medical condition?
It's not considered a medical condition, no, but it can produce mental, emotional symptoms.
Like depression.
Yeah, like depression, anxiety, and it can make it difficult to enjoy daily life. Some people also can have physical symptoms, like if you have something called somatic symptom syndrome. It's a type of anxiety where you conflate stress with physical illness. So it can mimic physical illness.
Are we not tired of all of these diagnoses?
There's
like 15,000 versions of
depression and anxiety.
And I'm gonna be honest, bro. I feel like sometimes we're getting too like clinical with things because we have kids now who are like 11 and they're like, Dad, I have anxiety about this. I don't think I should do this. And it's like, whoa, hold up. You 11. You don't really have no anxiety about
what it is.
You're scared. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. I'm kind of torn with that because I feel like I'm torn with that.
I want to hear it because I need to hear this.
I'm torn because I think as we grew up, right, and we were told to just push through things and to deal with it, and this is par for the course, and this is how you become successful. It's like we just kind of put our head down and then ignored the way we felt about a lot of things, which is in turn why I think adults our age, millennials specifically, have the issues and the anxiety and the things that they have now. Versus now that we've put people on notice, like, okay, maybe there are days that you need a mental health day or you need a day to kind of just relax, or maybe you should be cognizant of how you feel mentally. You know what I'm saying? There's two sides to it.
I gotta hear it. I hear what you're saying, but it's just used too often
because
now.
we're
Every
acknowledging
3 days, a kid need a mental health day, and every 3 days, a kid don't want to go to school.
I
don't know about
it's
that
two
part.
sides.
I don't know about that part, but I would not ignore the fact that anxiety is a real thing.
No, I'm not talking about the anxiety. I'm talking about burnout being considered a type of anxiety. It seems like everything now is considered anxiety. If a kid is afraid to run the 400 in track, he has anxiety. It's like we clinically diagnose
Everything.
When sometimes it's like, yo, get the fucking stick out of your ass and try.
Literally.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah,
There has to be a balance between the two. That's what I was
But
getting
I didn't
at.
mean to cut you off, Jess, but go ahead.
No. I agree. I think there's a fear and then there's anxiety. And most of those things can be fear, where kids are scared to do things. And then there are some things that are legit anxieties. I know, for example, Victoria, early in her life, had anxiety that we did not understand. I especially didn't understand because I don't really have anxiety about certain things. And if I do have anxiety, I chalk that up to just nerves or an experience or just me just not necessarily understanding the gravity of it all. But I had to understand that she had anxiety. The anxiety was real, and learn how to deal and cope and teach her and coach her through those things. So my only point is to the anxiety that, yes, I do agree that everything in our society, we can say, oh, it's anxiety, but then there's a certain place that I had to grow up and be like, maybe I should look into this. And I should probably ignore the fact that I should ignore the tough love sentiment when it comes to certain things like that.
And I will say this on the topic of stats, the National Alliance on Mental Health did a poll, a survey asking people about burnout or their work and their mental health. And they shared that 62% of employees who reported on the survey feeling uncomfortable about sharing about their mental health also reported feeling burned out by their jobs. So there's
Who they ask?
They did a survey on 2,000 people in the workforce in the United States.
I can understand that because the United States is known for overworking people in every aspect of every industry.
But my point is that if you're unable to share about your mental health because you might feel that anxiety is not a real thing, or there's too much anxiety, or I'm just feeling something else, I don't want to talk about my mental health because you're not going to believe me, or it's not real, or whatever, you're also struggling. You might also be challenged because you feel burnt out and you're forcing your way through it.
So this is my thing, similar to what Josh just spoke about. When I got to the NFL, they have you speak with sometimes sports psychologists, or you go speak to your player performance person. And I went to speak to him, and they were just like, "Man, it sounds like, Deval, that you grew up with performance anxiety." Remember when I was telling you that? And I was just like, "What's performance anxiety?" And they were just like, "It's the fear to perform in front of people." Da 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 da. And then I was thinking about it. I was like, "Oh, there's a clinical name for that. Didn't know that." So I'm telling people I grew up with performance anxiety. But you know how I got through it?
Performing.
Yeah,
right. Of course.
So then realistically, is it really an anxiety?
That's fear,
or
bro.
is it and that's my point. This dude told me that I grew up with performance anxiety and pretty much clinically told me this is what it was, and I was just like, okay. But then when I thought about my life, I was like, I always was concerned about things that I had never done before. And the only way I got rid of the fear was by practicing doing it over and over again.
I was about to say that. So it's not even really performance anxiety. It's once you feel confident enough to perform, then that anxiety goes away because you're prepared.
But he told me I had performance anxiety.
I guess you can make your way through performance anxiety. Like you can heal yourself of performance anxiety by
preparing and performing.
Anxiety isn't always something that is debilitating or it takes over your life. When it does take over your life, that's when you might need to have medication or some form of like talk therapy or EMDR or something like that. But if you have a general anxiety about something, even if it was
EMDR, if you don't mind me asking?
It's
electromagnetic.
It's a type of therapy.
Because they be shocking people. Now you don't have anxiety no more. You good, bro?
It's a different kind of burnt out.
No, but my bad. Yeah.
It is a type of therapy that it's called eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. It's psychotherapy. It's a technique that helps reduce distress associated with disturbing memories. They use it a lot for PTSD and anxiety.
Okay.
Okay,
and
I get
trauma.
that.
Trauma.
I get that with trauma.
PTSD and trauma, though, that's legitimate. Yeah,
that's legitimate.
For sure.
Like when you've dealt with certain traumas that you can't get rid of and you have anxiety.
Yeah.
That to me is very different than I'm afraid to go play this game.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But so everybody has a level of anxiety. It can be a medical issue if it gets to the point where it disrupts your everyday life. And if it disrupts your everyday life, you might go to therapy, and a therapist might do something called exposure therapy, where they kind of force you to do the thing that you're scared to do.
Which is just what
you just said, exactly. But if you have a level of anxiety where it's disrupting your everyday life, you can't get to that place by yourself. So luckily for you, you're able to get past your performance anxiety because you can force yourself to do the thing that you're scared to do because you don't have a level of anxiety that's keeping you from doing that thing.
Copy. So since burnout isn't a clinical diagnosis, people can work through burnout, which is ultimately fatigue to a point where you're so fatigued that you start to have these symptoms of anxiety. Pretty much that's what burnout is. Can't sleep, physically tired, headaches, you know what I'm saying? Exhaustion. So that's what burnout is. And the reason why I want to separate the two is so that when listeners are listening or whoever's watching at home, you understand the difference between anxiety and burnout and don't just mix. Because I think that's what happens. Everything becomes a kerfuffle. You know what I'm saying? Everything now gets put under one thing. And if we're really going to have this conversation, I really want people to understand the difference. Like burnout is not a clinical diagnosis where you was born with burnout and you tend to continuously always get burned out. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Burnout is something you can control.
And it's self-inflicted.
Yes. And it's something,
most of the time.
And that's what I want people to understand the difference. Anxiety is something like y'all just discussed. You can't control over it. But there's ways to work through your anxiety.
Right.
Burnout, you have 100% control over it. That's why it's not a clinical diagnosis.
Right.
So we can prevent burnout.
Right. But you may exhibit things like symptoms of, right?
All right. That makes,
so it's almost like
sense.
Googling something on WebMD and it's just like, oh my God, I'm about to die because I have all the symptoms at the same time, you know, but it's easy to kind of get them crossed.
No, I like the separation of the two so people understand. Because people also need to know when you have anxiety, which is a clinical diagnosis, and need to seek someone as opposed to just thinking I have burnout.
Right.
And it's important for people to know, do you have anxiety or are you burnt out?
Right.
And understanding the difference between the two can help people go get the help they need.
At what point do you, because I thought this is pretty interesting, do you tend to lose some interest in your career or like your professional goals because of burnout? I feel like I've never seen that with you where you're like, okay, I'm feeling burnt out, but you know, I don't think I want to do this acting thing anymore.
Yeah, no, that's
like
never
where
been...
it's ever been like a doubt. Do you feel like it's just par for the course, or do you feel like, because for me, I can see how sometimes the doubt can now kind of trickle in. Like, do I have what it takes? If I can't deal with this and I'm burnt out trying to get to this goal or this job or this next level, I can see how it starts to force someone to question whether this is even the right field for them.
This is how I handle that, unless you got something, Matt.
I was going to say that low-key burnout helped me. I was burnt out doing weddings, and I had to get out of there. And it helped me get further in my career. Because I got tired of doing the same old weddings. I just got tired of it. And
you know what it reminds me of, though? What? You never wanted to just do weddings.
Correct.
Same way I never wanted to just be an NFL athlete.
Correct.
True.
So when you get burnt out doing something you really don't want to do, it's
like it's
easy.
time.
Yeah, it's like, yo, my body is telling me. Because with acting, I'll get up tired, not tired,
no
and
matter
I'll
what.
do it because I love it.
You love it, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Them
like
long days don't feel like work. You're just happy to be there.
But I did get burnt out on set one time.
Yeah, but I think you were also navigating the things around
the flu.
Set. It was household stuff. It was a bunch of things
the flu. Everybody was sick.
You were physically sick.
I was physically sick.
Yeah.
But I think that's also an important conversation to talk about. Just because you love something don't mean that you're supposed to do it every day for 18 hours. You still got to take care of your body, your mind, and your spirit. That's actually a good point.
You got to find a balance in that.
Because I do love acting. And I am the type of person that gets obsessive over things. So I'll get up early in the morning. I'll do my readings. Then I'll go work out. Then I'll go do something else.
But your body's your instrument.
Absolutely.
And if you want it to show up for you when it needs to show up, then you got to take care of it too. So
I got my moment of truth when she just said that. Appreciate you, Matt, because that was a good point, though.
Got you.
Bringing that up, that is a good point.
Right.
I like that.
It's like, is it burnout or is this just part of the process?
Time to go.
Time to go. That's a good point. Is it burnout? Or I'm just over this.
Right. Or is it just part of the process and you're going to have to find a way to navigate that?
Which goes to what we talked about last time, which was not navigating burnout, but knowing when to what?
Walk away.
Walk away.
Walk away, let go.
Let go, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like when you realize you're getting burnt out or something, it might be time, like Matt say, to let this go. And maybe that's a good way to navigate burnout.
Yeah.
If you notice you getting burnt out or something,
Start reconsidering something.
yeah, that's a good point.
Let it go. Let it
I got
go.
my moment of truth too, by the way.
Well, congratulations. I love when you get your little moments of truth together.
Yeah.
Oh my God. All right, y'all. Any other tips, tricks, thoughts on burnouts?
Well, I know Josh was burnt out at one point. How did you get through that, bro?
I get burnt out probably every September, October-ish.
Oh, that's wedding season.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it didn't happen for a really long time. I didn't even know what it was when it first happened to me back in 2020. Okay. No.
Before that.
I did get burnt out in 2020, but that was pandemic.
I think everybody was burnt out.
But the very first time it happened, I got depressed. It was just like straight depressing. I'm looking now at what I'm doing versus what everyone. I was comparing myself to everyone else. Like, damn, this person went on vacation and I'm stuck in front of the computer. Or and this shit happens a lot. Like, I'll just be here, and then I'll pick up this, and everyone else's life is past. Like, they're enjoying it.
That's what's wrong with the phone too.
They're enjoying their lives, and I am not enjoying my life. I'm not enjoying what I'm doing. And it's not a situation where I don't enjoy what I'm doing. Yeah. It's that I'm doing too much of what I'm doing, and I don't have any balance. And then on top of that, you don't have balance with your family. Your family feels like they need you, but you're stuck. It's almost like there's literally no escape, which was funny because when we talked about what burnout is versus anxiety, burnout can be cured. Well, we talked about, we talked about burnout was an option. Right? Like, you can do things to mitigate it. But the reality is, when you have no options and you have to do this task, especially for me, I'm goal-oriented. Like, I like getting things done. Yeah. So when I don't have any options, I don't see like there's an option, but the option is I won't make the money that I'm making. Right? So like, you sort of got to find a happy balance. And
backs against the wall.
What ends up happening is, my productivity goes down. The quality of what I'm doing goes dramatically down from operating at, let's say, at an 80% level, goes down to like 30. And then I start missing things. Deadlines start slipping. Yeah. Emails stop slipping. I remember at one point I had to email people in like January, February to apologize for missing emails that were coming in November, December, January.
That's 3-4 months.
Yes. And I'm like, I'm sorry that I did this. I just couldn't get to you because I was focused on other things, and I really just got depressed. Like, I just couldn't do it.
You know what you said that really stuck with me though? You said you picked up the phone and you noticed that people were enjoying their life and it made you depressed. Comparison is the thief of joy.
That's the first quote that came to mind.
And the minute you start looking at that highlight video of everybody else's life, you've tricked yourself out of your own joy, bro. Because I'm pretty sure 90% of them people on the other side of that phone,
of course,
is probably just
in the same boat as
same
you.
thing, but they posted that.
But the thing is that I desire that, and I know it's attainable for me. It's not a situation where I'm comparing them because I can't get to that.
Yeah,
I know that I can.
You want it,
but I am burnt out to the point where I can't get there because I'm focused on what I'm doing. So it's not, I'm not comparing their lives. I'm comparing where they're at.
But you do see how taking your mind away from your goal and focusing on someone else has brought you there? That's what I'm bringing.
It's a symptom of it. It's not directly related to it. I'm not doing it because I'm comparing. It's literally the season that I'm in. It's literally.
I'm agreeing with you, but I'm saying, do you see the fault in that though? What I'm saying is you feeling depressed is the symptom of you picking up your phone, not because you were looking to compare.
No, it's a symptom of the burnout. It's accelerated by comparing. So we're on the same page.
Right.
I'm burnt out. I'm tired. Right. Now I got to see everybody else enjoying.
And that's what I'm saying. My point is to navigate burnout. When you feel like that, the worst thing you can do is ever pick up your phone and look at social media because I'm already burnt out. I'm tired. Now I got to go look at this dude here who
is frolicking.
He's on vacation or he just booked something. And it's like, dang, like, Deval, you shouldn't even be focused on that. If you're focused on your work, you'll get there.
Yeah.
But since you're not focused on your work because you burnt out, you want to look at social media.
Yeah.
Now you get a reminder. I understand how you got that. And that I do the same thing. Me and Matt will sit here, right? I feel burnt out. I'm like, let's go watch a movie. I'll go watch a movie, get there, and I get teary-eyed. I just want to fucking do that, bro. Like, why I can't get a chance to do that yet? And I didn't do that I didn't watch it to compare.
That was your escape.
It was an escape. And in that escape.
That's happened so many times
Bro.
with us. I'd be like, what's the matter? He was just like, I just want to do that.
This be me, bro. I be watching it, bro. And I just be like,
I could do that.
They be like, what happened? I be like, look, I can do that. Somebody's not giving me a shot. And they can't be like, we were supposed to be just enjoying
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
film.
Yeah.
Why are you acting like
babe?
this? I'm realizing now that you said that is freaking burnout.
Yeah.
That's
And
burnout.
you know, crazy, on the flip side, there are probably hundreds of other people that still would want to trade your place.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. And my thing is, I still haven't figured out how to navigate it. I know how to fix burnout. I need to just stop doing work. I literally need to stop doing work, take a few days, nap, chill, relax, get my mind off of this and completely reset. The problem is, how do you do that when you have
deadlines?
And we talked about
Money.
it, like thinking that everything is cool, filling up your plate, adding these extra projects that you know you want to do. But then, like, I committed to this. I am not going to let people.
I get
my
that.
name is on it.
That's fair.
I'm Joshua. Like, I gotta
fair.
finish this task. So I've realized, like, picking opportunities, being selective, also warning people ahead of time. Yo, I'm doing this for you as a favor. I got things that are on the slate. There may be a situation that if I can't do this, I will let you know. I'll give you ample time, but I'm letting you know now. Like, this is secondary to my prime objective.
Right.
And I've done that towards the end of the year, letting people know, like, hey, like, I'm adding this in for you.
But I think it goes to what Deval said before. Like, if you reduce what you're doing or pull back a little bit, don't even get to the point of burnout.
Money after Mac.
I get that. 100%. 1,000%
Pick me
understand
after
that.
feed.
But
Money
you
after
can't provide when you overloaded and
Facts,
stuck
when
in
you
depressed.
sick.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is true.
That is
That
a
is
You have
true.
to find a balance
Yeah.
of how much I'm going to put on my plate so I can still carry it.
That's a real nigga conversation. Don't we as men be having that conversation? Like, I feel you gotta make money, but dude, you can make money right now. We had this conversation with Jay.
You know what I've realized over the years, and what has benefited me is delegating. That
Of
is
course.
that
That's
is
it. Yep.
Yes.
it is
Yep.
it is prime. I remember I've had an assistant. I've had an assistant 3 times in my career where I've had like personal assistants where they have done tasks for me that I can't do. You know when I'm most burnt out?
When you have an
Is when I don't have the assistant. That's when I'm most burnt out because
I
I
feel
don't
you.
have people to take the extra task and
Right.
delegate.
Delegate, duplicating
Then
yourself,
that's to
teach
stay
people
delegating.
how to do things.
That's my thing. Being able to delegate has
Me
saved
and
me.
Matt was outside. We just got finished working out. Jay had hurt his leg, right? So me and Matt was like, dude, do you ever rest? He's like, nah, bro, I'm in the gym this many hours. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And I said, now look, now you can't go to the gym for a week. He was like, so yeah. So you got an extra day in and now you miss a week. It's the same thing, right? I got to make this money, but now you lose the money because since he can't go to the gym, he can't take clients. And I'm like, you missed a week worth of work. And he was just like, I ain't see that. You said something else too. When people don't have a plan and they're not thinking about longevity and they only think about instant gratification, that's when mistakes happen. That's also when burnout happens. Seriously. It's like, I got to get this done now. And before you know it, I mean, I've been there so many times. I've been there so many times. It's like hearing other people's stories really make me realize, like, shit, I've done the same thing, Josh. You know how many times I said, like, oh yeah, we're going to put 7 podcasts on a week. And then at the end of that week, I be fucked up in here.
And the recovery
Like,
time
tired,
is longer.
sick.
Like we be needing like 3 days to
They-
get
Deval, you want to do this?
back on
I
track.
can't. And I'm
Yeah.
like, damn, like I should have just took the minute. And I mean, we did kind of do that a little bit. Like
What's that?
the end of last year,
Oh, we knew by then.
we
because
was
by
off.
then
We
were
took
just
5
like,
months off. Like I didn't do nothing. I didn't take no gigs. I traveled with her wherever she was going, and it felt good. I ain't gonna lie. Now I didn't make as much money in them last 5 months as I would have liked to make, but I'm also not starving.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like at some point you got to decide: do you
Right.
want to make the money or you want to live?
Right. And then
So-
gigs come.
Gigs come, yeah. Gigs
They
come
come.
when they miss you a little bit.
They come.
That's when they come.
Did y'all miss us a little bit? You missed us a little
Oh,
bit.
they
A lot
missing
of it.
y'all.
They missed
They
us.
missing y'all.
Y'all missed us. I know you missed us.
Can't wait to be back on Patreon, baby.
All right, y'all. I guess let's go pay some bills and we're going to come back into listener letters. So stick around. right, y'all, we're back with listener letters. Let's just jump right in. All right. I love listening to y'all and appreciate the growth over the years. Thank you. I'm seeing a wonderful guy who's been a real gentleman and patient with me. He was just some months out of a serious long-term relationship when we met. He didn't get intimate until over a year after we met. I'm 40 plus. I was a virgin when we met, so he's my first. Well, congratulations. You popped the cork. I love it. Thing is, I'm ready to be working towards a relationship, but he's taking his time. Initially, it was fine because I've had to learn to slow down and just enjoy being with someone I like. I used to be anxious in relationships, but as I've worked on myself through therapy, etc., I'm more secure now. And though I'm not rushing, I'm also not willing to be single for another year. We like each other a lot, but I'm scared that I might end up 5 years later in the same status. We're both not seeing anyone at the moment, but he isn't ready to be exclusive. I'm open to meeting other people and have tried, but no one has happened yet. Would appreciate some advice as I navigate this. All right. So 40 plus, virgin when you met. Now he's your first. So is it that you're going for the gusto now? Because it's like, listen, I just gave it up after 40 plus years. Like,
well, time
this
is ticking.
it.
Time is ticking.
This is it.
Like, if we being honest.
And if he's coming a couple months out of a serious long-term relationship, then he's probably not wanting to get back into another potentially serious long-term relationship. Was this a conversation that we had before y'all were intimate? Does he want to be in another long-term serious relationship? Like, I'm curious to know if that conversation was had, because if you both were going into it with different viewpoints, different intentions, then that could potentially be a problem. What you think, babe?
I understand where she's coming from. She's 40 plus, and she's probably like, yo, I gave this man my body. If you waited that long and you finally give this man your body, it's like, I want to see what's next.
Yeah.
I understand that. The only problem with that is that's not how life works. Because you're ready don't mean that you get to rush somebody. And so often we hear from people in relationships, one is ready to do something and one is not. Right. And at first I thought it was just,
I thought it was.
Yeah, no. I thought it was, we're going to get a bunch of women who were just like, I'm ready. And the men like, I'm not ready. But we've seen over the past couple of years, there be dudes that be like, yo, I'm ready for her. And she, so I'm starting to realize that, yo, people want things on their own time. Right. Asking someone else for advice on how you should navigate that person is probably the wrong thing. Speak to that person directly.
Right.
And say, hey, this is what I'm looking towards. This is what I'm looking forward to. This is what I think my timeline is going to be. How does that work with you? And then when they tell you, listen to them. Don't listen to them with the intent to change their mind to get on your plan. Listen to them.
Yeah.
And then listen to them. If he says, well, I've been in a relationship for a long time, I'm not really, you already know he's not looking to get into a relationship. And if you are, now it's time to start making some decisions about what you want for yourself. This is why when people ask me or send me DMs, yo, my man or my girl is doing this, what you think? I'm like, don't ask me.
Right.
Ask yourself and ask that person. Once you get the information, use discernment to choose wisely. There's no advice we can give you other than speak to him directly.
When I heard you say, I thought you were going to say, when people say, oh, I thought, because to me, the I thoughts become the thief of clarity. Like, you thought, but was that what the person said?
Right.
So to piggyback off of what you said, yeah, the conversation, if it hasn't been had already, I think it's something that needs to be had, or maybe should have been had prior to you becoming intimate, because I can imagine how, after waiting so many years to finally then, share that with someone, you want to now take this seriously and know where this is going to go.
What you said, I think, is the point. What you just said, though.
What?
Don't tell somebody what you thought if they haven't told you what they want, or if they have told you. Don't tell them what you thought. They told you. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, and if you haven't had the conversation and they haven't told you, don't say you thought. That means you created a narrative
in your own mind,
which was a mistake. So you shouldn't be thinking, if you have somebody, ask them when they tell you, listen. So I like that point. I like that.
Love that. Anybody else got 2 cents for our listener letter today?
I do.
What's that?
up?
I was hoping you'd ask.
Well, take it away,
Triple about
Tribs.
to let this nigga have it. Watch.
No. I'm just like, if you are 40 plus, you are a virgin, why you let this man take your virginity? If you waited that long, you might as well wait till you get the ring. If you know what you want.
You just said life is short. You got to have joy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And speak Unspeakable.
The vibrator
speakable.
is just as good, if not better.
It's not.
You know what I'm saying?
It's really not.
It's not. But
It's not.
she didn't know
The
that.
vibrator done
She-
whoa whoa. It's true.
She didn't know that.
She didn't
That's
know what she
good.
was missing.
Yeah. So she should have just waited till she got the ring. And I say, you fucking now. You might as well, bust it wide open then.
True,
Go
about
get
to
you
slide in
another
her
man.
DMs.
Oh, I know, for real. Go
But
get
no,
you
I
another
do
man.
I do
too.
feel you though, because I am wondering though, if you 40 plus, why wait to give it up now if you're not married? That is a good question. I
Yeah,
would want to
Maybe,
know.
maybe she's like, he is the one. But does he know he is the one?
I think she got
Does he
tired
want
of
to be the
herself.
one?
Yeah, it could be.
I agree too.
She was
Travis.
like, oh, this shit is.
Yeah.
I
for the
agree.
birds.
YOLO.
I ain't getting no younger. Yeah.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. And not for nothing, my perspective has changed after we had that conversation. You are 40 plus. What am I waiting for?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Is it a badge of honor still to like be a virgin at that age? I don't know.
I think virtue has changed for men and women.
Mhm.
Back in the day, like, the Stone Ages, I need me a wife that's a virgin that I can, consecrate this marriage and claim as my own. It's like nobody talks like that no more.
Consummate, not consecrate.
Consecrate, consummate. Either way, I know I didn't do it. You know what I'm
You
saying?
turn
Like,
into Braveheart.
niggas is fucking.
Show us.
You got a
Either way,
beer
niggas is
show.
fucking,
Show
right? You know what I'm
us. We was test driving before we made the purchase.
saying? Facts.
Period.
But I do think it's not the same.
Yeah.
Right? Like no one is gonna be like, are you a virgin? No. Ugh. Like that's
Right.
it's 2025.
Right.
So the virtue of being a virgin no longer exists like it did in medieval times when you had to knight a sword, and you know what I'm saying. So and this may just be me because we live in a different world, but I just don't care.
Yeah.
I don't.
No
Like,
op.
Yeah, I
No
don't. I have
op.
no op about virginities no more.
Right.
Like,
Right.
you meet a woman, she's not a virgin. You probably not a virgin either, nigga. So
Right.
what do we
They
do?
also say women's sexuality peaks in their 40s.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a lot
Oh,
of
that's a
40
good point.
plus year old hot girls out here that maybe their kids are finally out the house or they're
True.
going through their first divorce. They out at the clubs.
I think that was
They
a
out
great
at the
point,
jazz lounges.
They're mingling.
They're on Hinge.
Yes, baby.
Go get you a
They're
group
on
of
trips.
girlfriends that's out
That's
here
not
hoeing.
It's not a bad point.
40
You know what I'm
plus
saying? Because
city
there's no
girls.
judgment at 40. In 40s, you're like, whatever is this? Like, go do you. Don't-
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Well, y'all want to hear something
know?
crazy, women? Y'all want to hear something crazy? Those women be the women that the young women be pissed about. Because the young dudes who don't got nothing be sleeping with the cougars.
Mhm.
And the
Mm.
younger women be like, oh, you out there fucking these cougars, and now this is why niggas won't settle down. And then those women be mad at men. Well, you realistically should be mad at the 40-year-old virgin that just decided she wanted to bust it open because, you know what I'm saying?
That's where the blame
Here's
should be
the truth.
placed.
Look who's right back there shaking his head because he in his 20s and he know.
Okay.
I'm not going to out him.
Leave him alone
But
now.
he
Leave him alone.
know.
Leave him
These
alone.
40-year-old women be busting it. And not only do they be busting it, they be spending that bread too.
Right.
So imagine you a 20-year-old. And the thing is how roles have
Laid up in the
reversed.
Four Seasons Hotel
No,
with a 40-something-year-old woman.
bro.
If I was single, I
Big
would do
move.
that too.
If you were
Facts.
single, what? If you were single, what?
I'm
Get
just
yourself
saying
in
I-
trouble.
If you were single, what?
I'm just saying I
Never tell me the time I
understand.
thought we was never not gonna be together.
Got
Now all of a
it.
sudden, if she was single, if I was single, I'd be fucking anybody. You want me to sit there for that?
Listen,
Huh?
listen, in Ellis Ever After, we said that we could speak hypothetically, okay?
No, we didn't. When did we say that? Well, did
We
I
said
ever say that? Did
on
y'all
a
hear
past
that?
episode.
Pull back the
You
tape.
stuck.
The hypothetical. I'm
Motherfucker,
stuck.
you stuck.
I'm absolutely
There's no
stuck.
if you
okay,
were
so
single.
my 40-year-old friends, as I'm trying to tuck my cards in my socks.
There's
Can't
no
even
side.
do
You
it.
can't
There's no
even
side.
get it. You can't get it.
But
there.
In your
I can
compression
sleep in your
socks,
lap.
40-year-old.
Compression size to 40 years
That's
old.
exactly what it is.
Yeah, but, I mean, he's not quite compression, but you know.
But nah,
But I get it.
I get it too.
I'm saying I get it, girls.
I get that, and I don't
girls
see
who
nothing
get it
wrong
got
with that.
it.
I don't see nothing wrong with that.
No.
I don't.
You have a good time. It's not about.
Have a good
Settling down.
time. Life is short.
She
But
ain't
how-
been fucking this whole time. Imagine how great the rest of her life is. She been focused on her career. Her apartment is clean as hell.
Hell yeah.
Period.
You know.
She got
Yep.
800 credit score.
40-year-old virgin, you know she disciplined. You're absolutely right.
Probably like
You know who's gonna fuck
OCD
that up?
and all that.
Dribble.
A 20-year-old
Something-year-old
YN.
dude.
Nah,
20-something-year-old
20-year-old YN.
dude.
Yeah.
He gonna come in there strapping. Ain't got nothing to do but sit on her couch and bless her every time she come in the house, and she ain't gonna know what to do with her life. That's what's gonna happen.
So maybe you don't need to wait for Mr. Real Gentleman who's been patient with you, sis. The options are
You need
plenty.
to get a YN.
you
Clearly.
get a YN, bro. Seriously. The young girl's been doing it for a minute. I'm gonna find me an old dude who never had money. Now, he got money and
got
he
a little
think
money
he
in his
fly.
late 30s.
And I'm gonna let him splurge on me, take me on some yachts. Not gonna marry him. Might not even sleep with him because a lot of these dudes be suckers. I be seeing a lot of dudes that be getting got. I'm like, you spent how much money on shorty and you not even smashing?
Just so she could smile at you.
And then she be with somebody else. This would be happening to old heads.
Yeah.
That's why I'm happy I got married. Nobody gonna bamboozle me.
But me.
I spend this money, I'm getting smashed. I'm smashed.
Period. That's a fact.
That's
yeah,
marriage.
wifey, you heard that? Mm-hmm.
That's a fact. It is what it is. And everything is fine over here.
Look, she like, I came for some advice. Now they telling me to be a hoe.
I'm sorry, girl. It went far left for you. It went far left, you know. But when we go
I ain't
left,
gonna lie though, Triple do got some points though.
Yeah.
You waited this long and you let it go, and now he not ready. What you supposed to do now? You can't put it back in the box. You can't put the box in the box. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
Bust it.
Yeah, bust it. Don't listen to us. Don't listen to us. Listen. Stay disciplined.
Yeah,
Find
stay the
you
course,
a
sis.
husband because that's what you want.
Yes.
Don't listen to us. We wild right now.
Yeah.
All right.
We love you.
We
Thank you
love
so
you, though.
much. We appreciate you sticking around with us for the years, okay? If you want to be featured as a listener letter, be sure to email us at theellisadvice@gmail.com.
That is TheEllisadvice@gmail.com.
So, time for Moment of Truth. We're talking about navigating burnout and all things associated. You were excited about your Moment of Truth, so do you want to lead us into that segment?
Yes. The very first thing I want to say, shout out to Josh. Thank you for making us talk about the difference between burnout and anxiety. Well, first of all, shout out to Tribble for making us talk about the difference between burnout and anxiety. But Josh, thank you for pointing out the fact that sometimes you get burnt out and then you want an escape and your escape could lead to more burnout.
Mm-hmm.
When you said that, I was like, ain't that the fucking truth? Because I've done that so many times. And in order to navigate burnout, my moment of truth is stay focused on the task until it's completed. And then when the task is completed, don't rush to another task. Sit in it for a minute.
Yeah.
And just enjoy the fact that you completed the task. That's how and my moment of truth is to avoid burnout.
I love that. I think mine has to do more with taking care of self, because I realized how sensitive, and I don't know if it's like a 40-something thing now or what, but I feel like my body is super sensitive to stress, lack of sleep, not drinking enough water, like not taking time for myself. And it manifests itself in different things. Like the other day, I was saying, damn, I don't feel right.
Yeah, talk about this.
This was like 2 or 3 days ago.
Yeah.
Just came off of filming. So that was one kind of decompression that I was trying to do, right? Just trying to reacclimate with like life and the kids and Deval. And Deval was like, I know you're going to need a couple days, take a couple days. And of course.
This is important and scary. So really, like this is important and scary.
So then there's that component of it, being just like lack of sleep, out of my regimen. I wasn't working out for 2 weeks. I was eating maybe 2 meals a day. So I really was not taking care of myself while I was working. And then, of course, Aunt Flo, the minute I rap, wants to come tap dancing on my head. You know, she rains on every parade, right? So that's happening at the same time.
Flo, that mother.
Yeah, she's a little bitch. She a little bitch. But so that was happening also. And I remember saying that day, I don't know what's wrong, but something is wrong.
She kept saying, I don't feel good.
And I kept saying, I don't feel right. Something doesn't feel right. And I thought maybe it was a bit of anxiety. I said, maybe I'm going through like withdrawals from filming because I was having such a good time. I'm like, am I now in a state of depression because I enjoy working? Like, what is happening? Then I get this massive headache on one side of my head. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'm dehydrated because I haven't been drinking my gallon of water a day.
And this is why it's important to know your partner. Because I looked at her eyes. Her eyes were super, super low and glossy. And the tint wasn't white. Like she had like a slightly yellowish tint. Eyes. And I was like, yo, something's wrong with you.
Right. And then I'm laying here with him I'm actually sitting behind him on this couch. And then I just start to feel really nauseous. And I'm like, and it's like the last time I felt something kind of like this was when I had the postpartum preeclampsia with Dakota. And something just said, check your blood pressure. So I went and checked my blood pressure. My blood pressure was 142 over 100.
Wow.
Which is wow high.
Yeah.
Wow high for me. I'm like your classic like 118 over 68 kind of girl. So for my blood pressure to be that high, and all I'm thinking to myself is like, I haven't done anything that would warrant a high blood pressure right now. aside
been
from a
working
heavy
out, you've been
period,
drinking,
I
you've
was,
been-
I've just been doing all the
drinking
things.
water, yeah.
So I took my blood pressure. I called my sister, of course, because now that she's a nurse practitioner, she know a lot more about the whole medical field. And I'm like, she's going through like the motions in her head. Like we're checking the boxes of the things that can or can't be. And she's just like, all right, take 2 Tylenol, get some hydration in, eat a meal. If the headache doesn't subside, then I think you should go to the ER. So I
was
don't
ready to go
take
to
it
the ER
serious.
Right away.
From the minute she told me her blood
Yeah.
pressure, I was just like, yo, I
Might
hear
as
all of
well.
this, but we could go.
So I try not to panic because I think that's going to make it worse. So I ended up taking the Tylenol, had something to eat.
She did tell you too. We took the blood pressure, then she took it again on the same arm and it went up. It was at like 106.
Mm-hmm.
And then she said, don't take your blood pressure on the same arm twice. This is important for people to know
Mm-hmm.
because once it's squeezed,
Yeah,
it
it
gets
constricts
high.
the vessels. Yeah.
then when you try to take it again, it's automatically going to be high. So she switched arms and took it again and it was below 100, which is why we didn't go to the hospital. I
Right.
think that's important.
Yeah.
So if somebody at home has
Yeah.
it and they keep taking their blood pressure, if they know it's getting high, it's because you
It's
keep
because of
taking it on the
that.
same arm.
Right, yeah. So this arm was a bit lower. It was like 130 something over like 97, which
Yeah.
is still high
Still
for
high,
me.
but it was better.
Right. So I took the Tylenol, hydrated, all of that stuff. Didn't want to take a nap because I just feel like when you don't feel well, I feel
Don't
like
go to
taking a
sleep.
nap, you just don't go to sleep. So I stayed up and everything. The headache subsided. So she said that was a good sign. And I just realized like in those 2 weeks, probably burnt myself out to an extent and didn't even realize it because I was on such a high from the adrenaline and everything happening and being in a happy place that my body was literally telling me, bitch, get the fuck back it together. Like my body was in shock. So to tie in my moment of truth with that quick story is to say,
Quick?
listen, you was additive. You was
Now,
giving
time out.
additives.
Somebody, y'all know how she always say my stories be long? Nobody gonna tell her that her story was long or it's only me, Trouble.
But
Don't
it
bring
became
me
our
in.
story.
My
Now I
name
can't
is
bring you
Benny.
in. You
My
always be
name
on
is
my
It
ass.
became our
Trouble.
story. It
It
became
became
our
our story. It's
story.
hilarious.
So
Y'all see this?
The
So I
novel
say
of
that
truth.
story to say, I won't say quick. I said that story to say, listen to your body because your body it's all you have. It's the only one you got. So you got to take care of it. Burnout or not, you're only going to be able to perform and show up as yourself if you're taking care of yourself.
Facts.
I got one. NBA players, this is not for you, but load management is important. That's simple.
Facts.
Love that.
Nobody want to hear about no fucking load management. We paid all this money for these tickets.
Period.
I'm pissed right now.
My bad.
Go ahead, Josh. Go ahead, Josh.
All right. So my moment of the truth is burn me out once, shame on me. No, shame on you.
Yeah.
Burn me out twice, shame on me.
Why shame on you?
Because I know better the first time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yup.
And one thing you did tell me, you always tell me actually, like, yo, bro, if you need to take a break, let me know.
Yes.
I'm holding that card in my back pocket though until like I really, really, really
Josh
need
on
it.
everything though. When
We
you
know
need,
you won't
when you
abuse
need
it.
that though, real talk.
I got you.
Don't call me.
No, that's necessary.
That's the worst thing I want to hear. You know what's on the rise in America?
Heart attacks.
Strokes.
Oh
Strokes.
yeah,
Strokes
Stroke.
among people between 20 and 30.
That's why the blood pressure for me was a thing. I'm
That's
like,
on the rise.
ain't nobody got
The
time for
last
that.
thing I want to ever hear is I'd rather hear Josh say y'all need a break rather than getting a call from Anika saying, hey, Josh in the hospital, he had a stroke.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to hear that.
I don't want
That's
to hear
why
that
I
shit
be on
either.
y'all about working out all the time because that helps. That's the reason why.
That's why I started working out. In
Take
December,
a break, bro.
I had a high blood pressure. Randomly, I think I don't remember the exact number, but it was near like 140 over. I don't remember the number. Looked at it with my wife. I'm like,
Yeah.
Not at 33, my nigga.
140,
Yeah,
it's
it's
Absolutely
normal,
not.
right? 140, the
Nah, 140
systolic.
is 140.
Systolic is the top
kinda
number,
high.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
140?
That's high.
120, if you're around
120,
120,
okay.
anything between 110 and 120 is considered normal. That lower number should be anywhere between what, 60
I
and
think 16,
80?
like 80 or something
Yeah,
like
60,
that.
anything
Yeah.
over 80,
That's
yeah.
like good.
So,
yeah.
it was like near
Mhm.
90 or near 100. Something
Yeah,
there. I was
yeah,
like,
that's-
yeah, nah, I got
When
to-
she had postpartum
That's-
preeclampsia, she was 200 over something, and they said if she would have went to sleep,
Mhm.
you would have woke up and your wife would have either been staring at you because she had a stroke and can't talk, or you would have woke up and your wife wouldn't have been here no more. That's what
Mhm.
the nurse told me. Because I asked her, I said, why does my wife need to be admitted? And she explained to me that high blood pressure leads to stroke. And we all got to be better with that. All of us. I
Mhm.
know you young over there. I'm not going to say your name, but I don't care if you in your 20s, bro. We got to be working out and eating right.
Mhm.
So your moment of truth, though.
Yeah, keep a
shame
blood
on
pressure
you,
cuff in the
shame
house,
on me. I
too.
like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
What's up, Tribby?
My moment of truth is be careful, I guess, when you're first starting out something. When you're excited to do it, still just pay attention to how much you take on, because you won't be able to sustain that forever.
Mm-hmm.
That is a good point too. When you like something, you tend to like OD.
To go all in.
And
like,
before you know it, it's like, I like this into death.
Right.
It's funny.
The new job was nice to
Ration
us.
that ass.
Yeah, I was gonna when he was talking, I was thinking, I was like, it's similar to like overeating. You just feel sluggish.
Facts.
You can't move.
Yeah.
I know.
As much as I love this
so
food, and this food
true.
tastes amazing.
That is a good point.
Like, I
It's
can't
like overeating.
Too much of
Yeah.
anything is
Yeah.
Too much
Everything
of
in moderation.
anything,
Is
gluttony.
like, it's the same thing with work.
Hashtag ration that ass.
Exactly.
Ration
I like
that
that, Triple.
Ration
That's a t-shirt.
that ass.
Start
That's what I thought she said
compiling.
first. Ration that ass.
She
I was
did.
like, dang, man, you be scratching.
You need to go wash that
Talking
ass.
about?
Tell that to Miss 40 plus former virgin. Ration that ass, girl. Okay.
Ration that ass.
Ration that. Okay. Period.
You stupid.
All right, y'all. Be sure to find us on Patreon for exclusive Ellis Ever After content. You can find the after show, more family content as well. And then you can find us on social media on Instagram, Ellis Ever After.
I'm Deval.
Oh, I'm Kadeen I am.
I'm
Sorry.
Deval.
I'm at _Matt.Ellis, but the easiest way is go to the Deval's page and look for a collab.
Period.
And I am Joshua Dwayne. That's JOSHUA _DWAIN.
And I'm at Tribs the Cool, TRIBBZ the Cool on everything.
And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, be sure to rate, review, and subscribe. And as always,
Deadass,
Yes,
baby.
baby.
Ellis Ever After is an iHeartMedia podcast. It's hosted by Kadeen and Deval Ellis. It's produced by Tribble. Video production by Joshua Dwayne and Matthew Ellis. Video editing by LaShawn Rowe.